Welcome to the 42nd episode of Impact Media Presents. I'm Kelly Redmond, your host and executive director of Impact Media and Entertainment Coalition, a 501c nonprofit organization. Today, it's Impact Media Presents Recycling Black Dollars, and I'd like to welcome our very special guest and partner of Impact Media, Crystal Mitchell, longtime friend, partner, and colleague. It's so great to see you and have you. You have been one of my partners in good trouble in LA for years since I've been here. We uh, we have been partnering, we have been pulling together collaborations, support each other. This is how it should work. And we talk and strategize about how we can really keep the momentum going. And I couldn't think of a better person to begin this series of conversations and dialogue about. Now that we've got a better footing as it relates to our political position. What do we need to do as individuals, as business owners, as a community to support each other and to hold our elected officials accountable as we're moving forward into this new year and our new way of life as a result of COVID? So, thank you. Welcome. Please share with our viewers a little bit about yourself and your background before we get started.
Well, thank you, first of all, Kelly, for having me on your program. Yes, we have been collaborating. We've been working together. And it's just so, it's refreshing to know that there are other people out in our community working for the same goal, is to better
Yes.
our world for our community and our people, to make sure we have a better stronghold. And so thank you. I'm honored and it's a
Thank you.
pleasure. Um, a little bit about me. I have been the co-director for RBD, or Recycling Black Dollars, for, oh wow, I think I'm on the 15th year now. We're actually
Mm.
celebrating 32 years, but the founder, Mohammed Nazardine, started the organization in 1988. But prior to my coming on board with Recycling Black Dollars, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 30 years, and I use my talents and my skills and my knowledge to help better our community, just as you do. And so it was a natural fit when that opportunity came up. I was doing some work with the with Recycling Black Dollars to help bring it into the 21st century with social media and all that sort of stuff. And when the founder and then the next in command director came aboard, and he passed on, then it just was a natural fit for me to move into that place. So I focus in on business development, business growth, marketing. My core competencies is accounting and bookkeeping, all the things that our businesses need in order to survive and thrive in the business platform. So that's who I am.
No,
And so I'm
absolutely.
honored.
Oh, girl, what I thank you for having me as a co-host on your live stream twice already this year. So we've got more to do together virtually. And once we're able to get back together and meet up and roll up our sleeves in a different way, I'm just so excited. And the timing for us connecting to have this conversation today is even more critical than I realized when I reached out to you for this. So I can't wait for you to share some of that a little later in the program. But
Awesome.
when let's start off, and I was so glad to see that you also have a series about why. So you know the importance. I start every interview asking people their why. Why do you do this work? Why is this important to you to lead in this way?
Actually, I think it stems back to when I first started as an entrepreneur. When I ventured into this world, for me, it was a strategic plan. I knew what I was going to do, so it wasn't something
Mhm.
I just got this brainstorm one day to say I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm a third generation entrepreneur, so I planned it to go into corporate life, stay there for 10, 15 years, and then move out into my own business. And so it kind of worked that way. The only thing that wasn't there was all my friends and peers were all in still working, and they couldn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. And so ultimately, basically, it's pretty lonely out there as an entrepreneur, as everybody,
It is.
got a 9 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And mine is a 24-hour day as opposed to their 9 to 5. So I
Right.
felt, and then there was some, some pieces. Now I had done my work, but I also understood that there's some pieces that you don't get when you work in corporate America. It's so much easier when you got a check coming in every 10 days as opposed to
Definitely.
being an entrepreneur. And checks can be few and far in between if you don't plan it out. So I realized that I needed to be able to share the skills and the wisdom that I had learned over that time frame. But also I understand that the pathway to economic solidness in a community is through entrepreneurship. So if you're not starting new businesses, then you're not generating and creating new monies flowing through the community. So my powerful why, I guess, is that one, I love people. I love my people,
Mm-hmm.
and I love sharing. And I think it's so important for people to step out there in the entrepreneurial world, but step out there with all the information and the knowledge that they need.
Absolutely. You helped me have a revelation just now. I'm also a third generation entrepreneur. I never really looked at it that way. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs, but my grandmother was an
Okay.
entrepreneur. I didn't even think about that. She was in the beauty industry. She did hair and she had her own business, a home-based business. I
There
didn't
you
even
go.
really think about that. So wow, that's pretty powerful to say when you think about it.
Yeah, it
Um,
is that it came down through the D, and I always say, and I'm going to say the
yeah,
same thing about you. It's in the DNA, right?
it is.
It's in the DNA. And my mom was a beautician, a hairstylist. She actually had my grandfather bought her or provided for her the first beauty salon in the city in Florence, Alabama, which is where they came from. So she did that, and then she was also a nurse. My grandfather was a caterer, owned a grocery store. My grandmother made quilts, and pretty much everybody, 3/4 of the family are entrepreneurs, and the other half of the family are went into the military or worked for someone else. But yeah, so it's in the lineage.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give my grandma a shout out, Maxine Collins, because I really didn't even think that it backed up to her, but it does in such a powerful and meaningful way. Because when she relocated from Jackson, Mississippi and Vicksburg to Chicago,
Mm.
and she was actually in college, and she was teaching, but her college credits would not they would not accept them in Chicago. So she literally, with 3 children, had to start over.
Wow.
And she went and got she went to beauty school, got her license to be a beautician and do hair. And then she worked in a shop, but then she also had her home-based business and eventually retired, doing her home-based business. My father was a DJ and he had his DJ business from high school until the day he died. My mother started a consulting firm when she decided to retire, and I became her partner. That was my entree into
Okay.
entrepreneurship when I left the mayor's office in Atlanta. Just after the 1996 Olympics, I opened the Atlanta branch of what was the Innovations Group Inc. My mother had other partners, and one decided to make another choice. And then I stepped in and opened the Atlanta branch. And then I've been an entrepreneur for, I'm quote, right behind your 30. I'm like 25 plus years
Okay. Cool.
off
Look
and on
at
over
that.
the years. So we get it. We understand as people who've been, I've worked in every sector. And I see how important that cross sector collaboration and partnership is. We all need each other. We need to work together to have a strong, vibrant, and healthy community. And of course, when you are an entrepreneur, solopreneur, small business, it's so critical that you're tied and connected to and help connect others to working better together, especially in the Black community. That's the only way we're going to survive, is if we
Mhm.
support one another. So
Mhm.
let's go right in. Why is it important? And let's talk about, and please reference the work of the organization, the only one in the country that we know of, Recycling Black Dollars. Why it's so important that we spend in the Black community, support Black businesses, partner with Black businesses and nonprofit organizations, in order not just for the business or organization to thrive, but for our community to thrive.
Right. So I'm going to start with Muhammad Nazardi.
Yes.
So the purpose and the reason that he started Recycling Black Dollars was he worked at Centinela Hospital at that time, and he heard two Black doctors, pretty well off the Black doctors, saying they were having a conversation and they were being very critical of why they did not do business with other Black businesses. So they were all of the myths and everything that you hear why you don't
Mhm.
do business. So they were saying they would prefer and felt more comfortable doing business in the white community than they did with their own. And
Mhm.
so Muhammad, he meditated on that and he chewed on that and he's like, nah, that's not the way that's supposed to be.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
he took his own money. I think at the time about 20 grand, and in 1988 he launched Recycling Black Dollars, and he went out with strategic plans to connect everyone together because even at that time, our dollars only circulated in our communities one day. Now I
Mhm.
think it's about 6 hours, but we represent some $1.2 trillion as consumers. So we're more consumers because no one's taught us how to be the owner of, right?
Right.
We thrive out, we go buy homes, but we're still in debt because we're not paying off those homes or we're not using those homes to leverage up to buy income property. We just have our asset, or what we think is an asset, our home, our highly mortgaged asset. And so
Yes.
his goal was to reach out with other organizations, banks, and churches. He created a Change Bank Day where over a 4 year period, $20 billion was moved from white based banks, which were not lending to Black people, to Black banks, which one was Broadway Federal, which is still
Mhm.
around, and as
Yes.
well as Founders Bank, which is no longer in existence today. But he moved in that 4 year period with the Change Bank Day. So that meant he was partnering up with banks, right, to make that happen. And then he partnered up with um, Barbara Lindsay, who founded the Los Angeles Black Business Expo. And then they did that together. They created, they named April as Black Business Month for entrepreneurs and business owners to honor and uplift. He then created the resource guide,
Mhm.
our RBD resource guide and business directory, so that you could find these businesses. And
Yes.
then he created another a call-in directory called 1-800-UNITA. So if you were looking for a Black-owned business, you could call. And so Charles Brister is running that right now. So he was making all of these actionable items because he knew you couldn't just talk the talk; you had to
Right.
walk the walk. And so
Absolutely.
with that, today, after he passed away, and actually he passed on October 18th, October 18th, 2017. No, 2007. So today we are, that's been 15 years ago. And so now we're still carrying on the legacy because there's still so much work to do. And when we look with COVID, we recognize how much work there was to do.
Yes.
So our main focus right now is to work together, collaborate together to take our dollars, make sure that those dollars stay in our community. We support each other's businesses, we uplift each other's business, and we uplift each other so that we can build a strong community, just like every other racial group of people, ethnicity out there.
Absolutely.
We have to do the exact same thing.
So, what are some of the suggestions that you and RBD espouse in terms of how we build, that sense of community, as Black people, as Black small businesses, around, as we talked about, that collaboration, that partnership. And we're based in LA. And part of the reason I wanted you to help lead this conversation is knowing the rich history of recycling Black dollars here in LA, and saying, hey, I believe this really can and should be a national model. And I know that you're working on things now. You shared some exciting, a new partnership that you're launching that's going to become national as well. Share some of those, best practices with others, across the country who are agreeing and, giving us the high five and the amens all across the country. Like, we need to do this. We
Right.
need it in our community. What can we do?
So I one of the things at the beginning of COVID, March 20. Actually, I started March 26th. I created a platform which you co-hosted with me called the Community Business Briefing. At the time, it was actually called the Community COVID Business Briefing, and it was sole purpose was to make sure that we had entry to all of the information, whether it's resources or funding, so that we could survive during this time. Um, and again, it was, and I did it solely so that we could all start collaborating. So it's a joint effort between all of the community-based organizations and our community leaders, making sure we're providing first level of information. So I think media is a really important piece, and what we're all doing is essential for our community to learn what they need to know and be at the table at the beginning and not at the back of the table when all the money's gone. So that's the first thing. Because we usually at the back of the table, and we're usually on the menu, so we now can get that information firsthand. So kudos to you as well for creating a media space as well as I have. The second thing is and you guys can tune into the business briefing every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. And we stream live on Facebook and YouTube. The next thing,
go ahead and promote the Business Zone on Friday.
Okay, and then I have another media platform called the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. That also is a business informational platform. We are helping you become bank loan readiness, bankable, contract readiness, and business readiness. That's the purpose of the Business Zone. So we're every Friday afternoon at 3:00. You can.
And Gilbert is my business coach through the Black Evolution Program with GLAC, which is the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, for those of you who are outside of LA. So shout out to GLAC and to Gilbert and you.
Yeah, he's the guru in that in minority certification and procurement. So we're on every Friday afternoon at 3:00. You can catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That way you can make sure you tuned in every Friday. And now we have our announcement. I'm so excited about this. So RBD has a resource guide, and we've had this resource guide for the last I would say 19 years. And it was a printed guide. So we want to really encourage young people to get involved, to continue to carry on the legacy of Muhammad Nazarene and the works of recycling our dollars nationally. But we couldn't do that with using more outdated methodologies. We had to start speaking their language. So I am excited. We are joining partners with the Los Angeles Urban League, and we're going to co-brand the resource guide to be for both of our organizations. And we're going to have every business listed. We're going to start with the Greater Los Angeles, and then it's going to start moving out each year to another component, another part of the country, so that at least we know where the businesses are. We can't support them if we don't know who you are and where you are, and so
how to find you,
and how to find you. So it's going to be a printed guide for those that are not quite technology literate, and then it's going to be a mobile app. and that will be able to have accessibility all over the country and all over the world internationally, because we have to think global and not just national, domestic. And so we're excited. That's going to launch in
Yes.
February of Black History Month.
Very exciting.
And we're really, really jazzed about that. So we're going to be working with everybody on gathering our businesses. We want every business at least listed in the directory. There, we're also selling ad space and interactionable app space, but our goal is to make sure that every Black owned business, no matter whether they're product based or service based, will be listed in the directory. And that will be initially the greater Los Angeles area. Then we're going to move through the state of California and then probably into Nevada, and just keep moving east until we have everybody in the guide. And kind of like Kelly, you remember the movie that recently came out called The Green Book?
Green Book.
Yeah, so it's gonna be the Black Book.
That's right. That's right. That's who we need.
So we're excited about that. So that's the next place, is knowing where the businesses are. And then next, we have to move our monies into Black banks. So now we have accessibility to loans, and those Black banks, we have to make sure they're accountable to providing reasonable loans with great interest rates to our people. But if we're moving our money in there, creating a relationship. So that's the next place, step in line. And then next is making our politicians accountable for our needs. So we're going to be putting together a task force. I definitely want you involved in that. We're going to put together a task force and identify the areas, and then we're going to close in these silos. Yes. And we're going to all start working together in a whole atmosphere of us, for us, by us.
Absolutely. You know, I'm excited over here. You know, we've been coming together and starting off, bringing the right folks to the table. And I get it. We're small, you know, we don't necessarily have the resources. So it is easy to say, oh, I've got to focus on my own thing in order to survive. But we have to be able to find a way to carve out just a little time and attention and resource to support a collaborative that's going to move us all forward. So what suggestions do you have on how to keep the momentum going when we come together?
I just think just having the love of doing what we do, and I think COVID did a couple of things. I call them silver linings. It created a redo moment and a reset moment. Many of our businesses are in a position where they're now pivoting. And so whatever they were holding on to no longer exists. And so now we all should be excited about this new us, and with the new administration, if we hold them to accountable, they can really make some inroads for us and make sure that there's policy set. We see now we have to have policy. This stuff just doesn't happen by itself. And you know, Kelly, it only requires a small group. Yep. It really does. It's just a small group of
you and I know that.
Right. Focused people. And the other ones that come along, you know, you kind of have to be the Pied Piper. But once we set the motion and we stay on target and we keep each other uplifted and motivated and inspired, then we're going to bring the rest of them with us. But my purpose in this life right now is that everything I do is to benefit the children that are coming out behind me.
Yes.
I want to make sure that this world is a better place for them. And I must say, if I had to ask this question, and I ask this question quite frequently, if we had to leave tomorrow, and especially those of us that have children in our lives, our own kids, our nieces, our nephews, our grandkids, are we good with leaving this world to these children right now? If we were just vapored away, could we actually feel comfortable to walk away and say, you guys got it? So I think the answer is probably no.
No, ma'am.
So that means we have our work ahead of cut out for us, and we really have to use this time to make it happen. So we had one window when Obama was in the office, and we kind of slept that one. Now we got
Yeah,
another little tiny window, and we need to make sure we take advantage of this. And we need to make sure if the team that's in there, the Biden and Harris did a great job, then we need to make sure we're ready to push her right on in as the first Black president, woman president, South Asian Black woman president. In U.S. history, but there's a lot of work because there's a lot of stuff that has come up out of this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we
So
have to hold all of our elected officials accountable, no matter what party they're from, what and and now, we can't get comfortable. And that's kind of what happened, 12 years ago. Uh,
exactly.
we cannot get comfortable and say, okay, leave it to the elected officials. So they need us to be that squeaky wheel to get the legislation through. It's got to be a partnership. Now, there's a way to do it, a respectful way to be that squeaky wheel to move it forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need to do. It has to be that partnership and that collaboration. We can't say, oh, well, now we've done our part. We voted. We got them in office. No,
Mm-mm.
there's still work to be done, and we still need to hold them accountable and provide solutions and not just complain. So,
Both
Crystal,
local and national.
absolutely, absolutely. So I know you have some other exciting news as we're winding down this half hour. Please share about the exciting
This
event that's
evening.
going on this evening. Yes, and other
Yeah.
things that are happening.
So we're kind of excited because RBD or Recycling Black Dollars, we haven't come together. We do a breakfast mixer, or we have been doing a breakfast mixer every second Tuesday of every month. Well, our last mixer because of COVID was February. Um, And so we've been asked, could we please come together? So tonight we are having a family reunited, come together. Let's see what you're doing. Let's hear what you're doing. Let's inspire, let's motivate, and let's excite each other to move forward in this new phase. So you guys it's free to the public. You can go over to our website, www.rbdmedia.org and RSVP. We would love to have you come over and say hello. So we're just going to do our regular networking thing, and we have a great speaker, Dr. Cheryl Lee. She's going to talk about our physical and emotional wellness, and then we have Miss Tanya Mackey, who is a financial amazing woman, and she has a series of workshops for women on building wealth and becoming wealthy, and creating wealth. And so she's going to be speaking about our financial wellness. So we're really excited. And then we got Black Friday coming up. Buy
Yeah,
Black Friday on right the day after Thanksgiving, whatever is that, the 27th or 26th. So we're going to do that with the Black Business Expo. So there's so many amazing things that are happening for our community. We just want everybody just to start supporting each other and making sure that we're not just surviving, that we're thriving.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me today, Crystal. Again, this conversation is going to be a continuum. It is not going to be a one-time discussion. We're just, kind of getting started to have these conversations on this platform. I mean, we've talked about it, but specifically in the small business realm.
Mm.
Gilbert did come on and talked about, how do you pivot a few weeks ago. And
Okay.
so, but now it's like, okay, now actively, how can we ensure we're recycling our Black dollars, that we have cooperative economics, that we're collaborating and have strategic partnerships cross sector, in our community. So thank
And
you
Kelly,
so much.
it's a thought. You have to, one, really say, okay, I want to spend my dollars and I want to support my community. So where can I go? Where are these Black businesses? And then not everything is available for us in our
Right,
community, right? So then the next line of question is, are you hiring us?
right,
Right, when I come to your facility, if it's not a Black owned business, do you hire Black people and you pay them and treat them with fairness and equality? And that's the next thing. And do you hire our children? Do you hire our
right.
young people? And so those are some of the questions we have to ask ourselves. And for every dollar that I spend, say at a Ralph's, then I spend that same or more dollars in a Black business. So I make a conscious effort every day to support someone Black, and as well as supporting if I can't find what I need. But we're in a new world now, so we're shopping online. I'm sure we can find whatever we need. We just have to go looking for it.
Absolutely. And just to add on to what you said, not just hiring us at any level, hiring us at all levels, from
All
top
levels.
down, and ensuring that they have people who look like us and who share, our background, Black people on corporate boards,
Yes.
and how, they're actually living out what they are saying their diversity, equity, inclusion motto and position is, whatever their focus is. They've got to walk the talk.
They gotta
And,
walk the
this
talk.
has been a year where they've been called to the carpet and are stepping up, and we need to hold them accountable as well. And we can do that best with our dollars and using our people strategically at various points within the organizations and outside and we have to work together to hold their leaders accountable. So it's a very exciting time, and it's neat to see how, the Michael Lawsons and other nonprofit CEOs are going into corporations and holding the leaders, accountable and sharing and continuing to make the case for diversity, equity, inclusion from the outside, so that the corporate leaders and CEOs understand on a whole nother level and know that we can partner together to make this change. They're not alone, but we have to do it together. So
Right.
thank
And we
you
don't want them
so
just
much.
coming in telling us they're giving us money and then we
Exactly.
never see the money because they just feeling the guilt right now.
That's
We gotta
right.
start holding people accountable and not just placating us. We have to really
Yes.
work for change. So thank you
And we
so
need
much.
relationships. We need
Yes,
relationships,
yes,
long-term, long-lasting relationships and partnerships.
I
So
agree.
let people know how to follow. I know you mentioned your shows, and people know how to find the shows, how they can follow you personally. And
You
then
can
we'll figure out when we can have you back, and maybe we can, pull together some other folks to join this conversation.
Oh, that would be absolutely awesome. And as I said, this task force that we're putting together, we're going to model it after a group, and you can take a look at this. It's called Empower Omaha.
Mhm.
So we're going to model it after that. We're going to bring the founders out to have a conversation. So I
Neat.
truly want you to sit on that task force because
Definitely.
your positive, impactful media is going to be part of this, making sure that we get the word
Definitely.
out.
Count me in. It's done. Just let me
Thank you.
know.
So we want that. You can reach me, my website, rbdmedia.org for Recycling Black Dollars. And you can find us on Facebook, Recycling Black Dollars. We're Instagram. LinkedIn would be myself, Crystal Mitchell. And then YouTube. So we have a YouTube channel, the Business Zone's YouTube channel, and my own personal YouTube channel. So we're all over social media. Just Google my name and Google
Right.
Recycling Black Dollars, or Google the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, or the community briefing, and I bet you'll find me.
Absolutely. And trust me, you want to. So thanks again, Crystal. I'll see you real soon. And I'm going to
Okay.
try. Oh, do me a favor.
Yes.
In the comments section of the broadcast, please put the link for people to register so that they can register to join tonight. I have
Okay.
a full rest of the afternoon and evening, but I'm going to see if I can pop in at least for a little
So do I
bit.
put it in because I only have access to the private chat. So you're going to move it over?
So the link that I provided you, we'll talk tech
Okay.
afterwards. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
righty.
so much.
Thank you.
All righty. Oh, I knew that was going to be awesome. I can't wait to continue my conversation with Crystal and Gilbert and others as we continue to talk about and support small businesses and focus on how we recycle our Black dollars, that we have cross-sector collaborations that benefit the Black community. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care and have a great week.